My sister tried to take my late wife's inheritance right after her passing, so I calmly exposed her greed, cut off every advantage she had, and watched her fairy tale life collapse in ways she never saw coming. I am 38 male, my sister is 35 female, and this happened about 8 months ago. It's a long story, but stick with me. The ending is absolutely worth it. Some of you might think my revenge was excessive, but after you hear what she did, I think you'll understand why I had to go nuclear. TLDR at the bottom, but seriously, read the whole thing. This woman got exactly what she deserved. Let me start by giving you some background on our family dynamics, because it's important to understand how we got here. My name is Derek, obviously fake, and I work as a senior financial analyst for a major investment firm in Dallas. I make around $165,000 a year, which isn't billionaire money, but it's pretty solid for Texas. I wasn't always successful, though. Growing up, our family struggled financially after my dad left when I was 12. Mom worked 2 jobs just to keep us afloat. My sister Brittany is 3 years younger than me, and from day one, she believed the world owed her everything. While I was studying my rear end off and working part-time jobs throughout high school, she was focused entirely on her appearance and finding guys to pay for her lifestyle. I'm talking about a girl who would throw tantrums if she didn't get designer clothes for her birthday, while mom was choosing between groceries and the electric bill. After high school, I got a partial scholarship to the University of Texas for finance and economics. I worked nights at a call center to pay for what the scholarship didn't cover. Graduated with honors and landed an entry-level position at an investment firm, worked my way up over 15 years to where I am now. Brittany lasted exactly 1 semester at community college before dropping out to become an influencer. By influencer, I mean she posted photos on Instagram for her 1,800 followers while cycling through different wealthy guys who would pay her bills for a few months before getting tired of her act. The contrast between our lives drove her absolutely insane. Here I was, the boring numbers guy according to her, making 6 figures while she was still living with mom and relying on whatever sucker she was dating that month. Then I met Sarah, and everything changed for the better. Sarah was a nurse practitioner at Presbyterian Hospital, smart, beautiful, hard-working, and somehow she saw something in my awkward financial analyst personality. We met at a coffee shop near the hospital. I was there reviewing client portfolios, she was studying for a certification exam. We started talking about healthcare economics, and one thing led to another. We dated for 2 years before I proposed with a ring that cost me 3 months' salary. Sarah was worth every penny. Brittany despised Sarah from their first meeting, mainly because Sarah saw right through her gold digger routine and refused to pretend otherwise. While everyone else in our family walked on eggshells around Brittany's mood swings and financial demands, Sarah treated her like the spoiled adult child she was after our wedding. Sarah and I bought a house in Plano for $620,000. Sarah's father, who was a retired cardiologist, helped with the down payment as a wedding gift. The house was Sarah's dream: 4 bedrooms, gourmet kitchen, swimming pool in the backyard. We were planning to fill those extra bedrooms with children someday. Brittany made snide comments about our house constantly. "Must be nice having daddy pay for everything," she'd say to Sarah whenever the house came up in conversation. Never mind that I was making the mortgage payments, and Sarah was working 50-hour weeks saving lives. In Brittany's twisted worldview, any success that wasn't hers was somehow unfair or undeserved. The tension got so bad that Sarah and I started declining family events if we knew Brittany would be there. Our lives were simply more peaceful without her constant drama and passive-aggressive comments about our privileged lifestyle. Everything was perfect for 3 years. Sarah and I were trying for kids, planning vacations, building the life we'd always dreamed of. Then our world ended on a Thursday night in February. Sarah was driving home from a late shift at the hospital. The roads were clear, weather was fine. She was being completely responsible like always. Some idiot teenager was texting while driving and ran a red light at 45 miles per hour, T-boning Sarah's car on the driver's side. Sarah died instantly. The teenager walked away with minor scratches. At 36 years old, I became a widower. The first few weeks after Sarah's funeral were a complete blur. I took extended leave from work and basically became a hermit in our house. Sarah's parents were destroyed. She was their only child, and they'd already lost her mother to cancer 5 years earlier. My mom tried to help, but she was dealing with her own grief and honestly didn't know how to handle the situation. Brittany, however, was strange from the very beginning. She showed up to the funeral wearing a tight black dress that was completely inappropriate for the occasion. She spent most of the service taking selfies to remember Sarah and kept talking about how everything happens for a reason and Sarah's in a better place now. The day after the funeral, she came to my house uninvited with a casserole and immediately started talking about how I probably should sell this big house since it's just you now. When I told her I wasn't ready to make any major decisions, she got this calculating look in her eyes that should have been a massive red flag. Over the next month, Brittany kept bringing up money in every conversation. How was I handling the mortgage payments alone? Did Sarah have life insurance through the hospital? What was I planning to do with all of Sarah's jewelry and personal belongings? Every single conversation somehow circled back to my financial situation, which should have been obvious, but I was too messed up with grief to think clearly. The truth was, money wasn't really an issue for me. Sarah and I both carried substantial life insurance policies through our employers. Between that payout, our savings account, and the fact that the teenager's insurance company was going to pay a significant wrongful death settlement to avoid a lengthy court battle, I was actually in better financial shape than I'd ever been in my life. Of course, no amount of money could bring Sarah back, which made the whole thing feel meaningless. But I kept this financial information completely to myself. Years of working in finance had taught me that people act very differently when they know you have money, and I wasn't in the right headspace to deal with that kind of attention. About 6 weeks after Sarah passed away, Brittany started mentioning her own financial problems during our conversations. Her latest sugar daddy had dumped her. She was behind on her apartment rent, her car payments were overdue, and she'd maxed out her credit cards. She'd already hit up Mom for money, but Mom was barely surviving on her Social Security checks. "I just need a small loan," she'd say during our phone calls, "like $4,000 to get caught up on everything. I'll pay you back as soon as I find steady work." The thing is, Brittany had never held a legitimate job for more than a few months in her entire adult life. Her idea of finding steady work meant finding another wealthy guy to support her lifestyle. I told her I couldn't help right now because I was dealing with my own situation and wasn't thinking clearly about money. That's when she started getting nasty with me. "You're being so selfish, Derek. Sarah's gone and you need to accept that reality and move on with your life. You obviously have money now, and you won't even help your own sister who's struggling." Wait, obviously have money? I hadn't told anyone about the insurance payouts or the pending settlement. "I'm not stupid," she continued. "Sarah's dad is loaded. She was making good money as a nurse practitioner. You guys obviously had life insurance policies. Plus, there's going to be a huge settlement from that teenager's insurance company. You're probably sitting on $500,000. The fact that she had calculated all of this while I was barely functioning day to day really bothered me. But instead of confronting her about it, I just told her I didn't want to discuss money and asked her to drop the subject. Big mistake. I should have seen what was coming next. 2 months after Sarah's death, it was my mom's 65th birthday. I absolutely did not want to attend any kind of family gathering, but Mom had been through enough watching me grieve, and I didn't want to disappoint her on her special day. The party was at Mom's small apartment, just immediate family. Me, Mom, Brittany, and a couple of aunts and uncles I rarely saw anymore. I brought an expensive bottle of sparkling cider and a gift card to Mom's favorite restaurant, trying my best to act normal even though I felt terrible inside. Everything seemed relatively normal at first. We had dinner, birthday cake, opened presents. I was actually starting to relax for the first time in months, thinking maybe I could handle family gatherings again. Then Brittany stood up and announced she had something important to share with everyone. "Before we finish celebrating, I have something serious that Derek needs to know," she said, pulling out her smartphone. "It's about Sarah." My blood went completely cold. What was she planning to do? "I've been going through some of Sarah's old social media posts and messages," Brittany continued, "and I discovered something that Derek deserves to know about. Sarah was having an affair." The entire room went dead silent. I stared at her like she'd lost her mind. "That's complete nonsense and you know it," I said firmly. "I have proof right here," she replied, holding up her phone. Screenshots of text messages between Sarah and her supervisor from the hospital. They were planning to meet up at hotels, talking about how unhappy they were in their marriages, making plans to leave their spouses. She started reading these supposedly intimate text messages between Sarah and some hospital administrator I'd never heard of. According to Brittany's evidence, Sarah hated been cheating for months and was planning to divorce me to be with this other man. Everyone was staring at me, waiting for my reaction. My aunts looked shocked and horrified. My mom looked like she was about to cry. My uncle was shaking his head in disbelief. "Let me see that phone," I demanded. Brittany clutched it against her chest protectively. "I know this is hard to hear, but you deserve to know the truth about who Sarah really was." I stood up, probably looking like I was ready to commit violence. "Give me the phone, Brittany." "Derek, please calm down," she said in this fake, concerned voice. "I know you're upset, but getting angry at me won't change what Sarah did to you." That's when everything clicked into place. This wasn't about exposing some affair that never happened. This was about something else entirely. "What do you want?" I asked directly. She looked confused and innocent. "What do you mean? Cut the act. You didn't just randomly discover these messages. You want something from me. What is it?" Brittany glanced around the room at our family members, then back at me with crocodile tears in her eyes. "Well, since you asked, I think it's only fair that some of Sarah's life insurance money should go to the people she hurt with her lies and betrayal." "The people she hurt?" "Our family, especially Mom. Think about how much emotional stress Sarah's deception has caused all of us. Mom deserves some kind of compensation for the pain and suffering." I almost started laughing at the absurdity. "You want me to give Mom money because of your made-up affair story?" "It's not made up," Brittany snapped, dropping her fake sympathy act. "And I think $80,000 would be appropriate compensation for what our family has endured because of Sarah's betrayal." There it was. She had invented this elaborate lie about Sarah cheating to justify demanding money from me, not asking for a loan this time, making an actual demand for cash based on complete fiction. "Those messages are fake," I said quietly. "Prove it," she challenged me. "I don't have to prove anything. Sarah's dead, you idiot. Even if she had been cheating, which she absolutely wasn't, that doesn't entitle you to a single penny."
The room erupted in chaos. My aunt started chiming in about how I should hear Brittany out and consider what's best for the family.
My mom was crying, saying she didn't want any money, she just wanted us to stop fighting on our birthday. I looked around at these people, my own family, and realized they were actually considering the possibility that Sarah might have been unfaithful, based on some obviously fake screenshots that Brittany had probably created in 5 minutes. None of them were questioning her story or wondering why she'd waited 2 months to bring this up. That's when I decided to really mess with her head. "You know what, Brittany? You might be right about Sarah. I've been in denial, but looking back, there were some suspicious signs that I ignored." Her eyes lit up with greed and fake sympathy. "I'm so sorry you had to find out this way, Derek. I know it's painful, but you deserve the truth." "Yeah, and you're probably right about the money situation, too. It wouldn't be fair for me to keep all of her life insurance when she was planning to leave me anyway." "Exactly," Brittany said, unable to hide her excitement anymore. "So here's what I'm going to do. I'll give you that $80,000 you mentioned. But first, I want you to post those screenshots on your social media accounts. Sarah's family and all her coworkers should know what kind of person she really was, don't you think?" Brittany's face went pale. I don't think that's really necessary." "Oh, but it absolutely is necessary. If Sarah was really an unfaithful person like you're claiming, then everyone should know about it. Post the screenshots on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Tag her parents and her hospital colleagues. Let everyone see your evidence." "Derek, that seems pretty harsh." "Harsh? You just told our entire family that my dead wife was a cheater and demanded money based on that accusation. If you really believe what you're saying, then you should have no problem sharing the proof publicly. Unless," I let the word hang in the air. "Unless what?" she asked weakly. "Unless you made the whole thing up to scam money out of me." The room was completely silent again. Everyone was looking at Brittany, waiting for her to agree to post the screenshots publicly. She was trapped, and she knew it. "Maybe we should just keep this private for Sarah's memory and her family." "No," I said, standing up. "I think I'll pass on the whole arrangement. Thanks for the birthday dinner, Mom. I'm going home now." I walked out, leaving Brittany stammering excuses about why she suddenly didn't want to share her evidence with the world. But I wasn't finished with her. Not even close. The drive home from Mom's birthday party was when I made the decision to completely destroy Brittany's life, not just refuse her money, actually ruin her entire existence. She had tried to trash Sarah's memory for cash, and that was absolutely unforgivable. Here's the thing about working in finance. We're naturally paranoid, and we document everything meticulously. I'd been keeping records of Brittany's nonsense for years, mostly just to vent my frustrations to Sarah about whatever drama Brittany was causing that week. That night, I pulled out my laptop and started going through everything I had collected about my sister over the years. Text messages, emails, social media screenshots, financial records I'd helped her with in the past when she begged for budgeting advice. The picture that emerged was of someone who wasn't just entitled and manipulative, but genuinely unstable and potentially criminal. Some highlights from my Brittany documentation files: screenshots of her bragging on Instagram about getting rent money from different guys without even sleeping with them, text messages where she admitted to lying about birth control to try to trap a wealthy ex-boyfriend into marriage. It didn't work, and he paid for the termination. Records of her stealing money from Mom's purse during Christmas visits over the past 3 years. Photos she'd posted then quickly deleted of herself wearing jewelry that mysteriously went missing from our aunt's house. Screenshots of her selling counterfeit designer purses on Facebook Marketplace. Evidence that she'd been claiming unemployment benefits while working under-the-table jobs at various establishments. But the real treasure trove was her recent activity. Remember how she'd been asking detailed questions about my financial situation? It turns out she'd been doing much more than just asking innocent questions. A few days after the birthday party disaster, I received a call from my bank about some unusual account activity. Apparently, someone had called claiming to be me and asking about my account balances and recent transactions. They didn't provide any information because the caller couldn't answer basic security questions, but the bank flagged it as suspicious and wanted to make me aware. The caller ID number they provided was Brittany's cell phone. I also discovered that she'd been calling Sarah's life insurance company claiming to be Sarah's sister-in-law and asking about beneficiary information and payout schedules. Again, she didn't get any information because she wasn't authorized. But the fact that she had attempted it told me everything I needed to know about her intentions. This woman wasn't just asking for money, she was actively investigating my finances and trying to figure out exactly how much she could potentially steal from me. So I decided to help her with that research project. I spent the next evening creating a completely fake financial portfolio document showing that I was worth approximately $2.6 million between life insurance payouts, the wrongful death settlement, investment accounts, and property equity. I made it look like an official document from my financial advisor, complete with letterhead, account numbers, and professional formatting. Then, I set up a meeting with Brittany to apologize for how I'd reacted at Mom's birthday party. A few days later, I called Brittany and asked if she wanted to meet for coffee. I used my most sincere, grieving widower voice and told her I'd been thinking about what she'd said at Mom's party, and that maybe I had been too defensive and unreasonable. She agreed immediately. Of course, she could smell money from a mile away. We met at a coffee shop near her apartment. She showed up wearing a brand new outfit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, clearly financed by whatever new sucker she'd found, and immediately launched into her fake sympathy routine. "I'm so glad you called, Derek. I've been really worried about you. I know the truth about Sarah is difficult to accept, but it's better that you know what really happened." I nodded along, playing my part perfectly. "You're absolutely right. I've been in denial about a lot of things, Sarah. Money, family, responsibilities. I need to start making better decisions." "That's so mature of you," she said, practically vibrating with anticipation. "Actually, I wanted to show you something. I met with my financial advisor yesterday to get my affairs organized and plan for the future." I pulled out the fake portfolio I'd created and slid it across the table.
Brittany's eyes went wide as she scanned the numbers.
"Holy cow, Derek, you're worth almost $3 million. "Keep your voice down," I said, glancing around nervously. "I don't want random people knowing about this." She was staring at the documents like they were made of pure gold. I had no idea the settlement was going to be this substantial. Most of it is from the wrongful death payout. The teenager's insurance company is paying $1.7 million to avoid going to trial. Plus Sarah's life insurance, my existing savings, the house equity, my 401k. "This is incredible," she whispered. "You could do absolutely anything. Travel the world, buy a mansion, invest in businesses, whatever you want." "Yeah, but I've been thinking about what you said at Mom's party, about family obligations, about how Sarah's betrayal affected everyone. Maybe I should be sharing some of this wealth." Brittany tried to play it cool, but I could see the greed practically radiating from her eyes. "I mean, I wasn't trying to pressure you or anything, but it would be wonderful if Mom could retire comfortably, you know." "Absolutely. I was thinking about giving her around $150,000. And maybe something for you too, since you were brave enough to tell me the truth about Sarah when everyone else was protecting me from it."
She was practically drooling at this point.
"Sure, maybe $120,000. I know you've been struggling financially, and family should help family when they can." Brittany's mask completely slipped away. She wasn't even pretending to be sympathetic anymore, just calculating how she was going to spend her windfall. "That would completely change my life, Derek. I could pay off all my debts, get a reliable car, maybe put a down payment on a nice condo." "Yeah, well, you deserve it for looking out for me," I said. "There's just one small thing I need from you first." "Anything," she said immediately. "I need you to help me go through Sarah's personal belongings. There might be some things I need to find. Documents, maybe some additional evidence of the affair. I want to make sure I have everything organized before I finalize all the insurance claims. Of course. When do you want to do this? This weekend? You could come over Saturday morning and we'll go through her closet, her desk, all her personal stuff. It would be much easier having someone else there for emotional support. We arranged the time, and I walked her to her car. As she was getting in, she grabbed my arm with fake sincerity. Derek, I just want you to know how proud I am of you for handling this so maturely. Sarah didn't deserve someone as good as you. I smiled and nodded, watching her drive away in her beat-up Honda that was probably going to be repossessed within the month. Saturday morning couldn't come fast enough. Saturday morning, Brittany arrived at my house exactly on time, carrying a coffee and wearing latex gloves like she was about to perform some kind of surgical procedure. I brought gloves so we don't contaminate any potential evidence, she said with complete seriousness. Evidence of an affair that never happened. The audacity was truly impressive. Good thinking, I replied. Sarah's home office is upstairs. I haven't been able to go through it yet because it's too emotional. We went upstairs to what used to be Sarah's workspace. She would do paperwork there, study for medical certifications, video call with her nursing school friends. I'd barely entered the room since she died because it still smelled like her perfume and had all her personal items exactly where she'd left them. Where should we start looking? Brittany asked, eyeing Sarah's desk like it might contain buried treasure. Maybe her computer. She might have saved messages or emails there that would give us more information. Brittany practically lunged for the laptop. Do you know her password? Yeah, she used our wedding anniversary date for everything. I logged into Sarah's computer and opened her email program. Brittany leaned over my shoulder, breathing down my neck as she scanned through months of boring medical correspondence, messages with friends, and work-related communications. Nothing suspicious here, she muttered after several minutes. What about her text messages? I don't think they sync to the computer automatically. Her phone was completely destroyed in the accident. Brittany looked disappointed. What about physical evidence? Love letters, hotel receipts, anything like that? Maybe check her desk drawers and filing cabinet. For the next hour and a half, I watched my sister tear through Sarah's personal belongings like a burglar searching for valuables. She went through every drawer, every folder, every box. She even checked behind picture frames looking for hidden notes or documents. It was absolutely disgusting watching her paw through Sarah's private things, but I needed to let her dig her own grave deeper. I'm not finding anything, she finally said, clearly frustrated. Are you absolutely sure she was having an affair? Well, you showed me those text messages at Mom's party. I assumed there would be additional evidence. Right. The messages. Brittany looked uncomfortable suddenly. Maybe she deleted everything else to cover her tracks. Can I see those screenshots again? I want to examine them more carefully now that I'm thinking clearer. I don't have them with me right now, but they're saved on your phone, right? Actually, I think I accidentally deleted them when I was clearing up storage space last week.
I stared at her in disbelief.
You deleted the only evidence of my wife's affair? It was a complete accident. But Derek, you admitted yourself that you suspected she was cheating. Maybe we don't need the messages to know it's true. This was absolutely perfect. She was admitting she had no evidence while still trying to maintain her ridiculous lie. Brittany, can I ask you something directly? Sure, anything. If you don't actually have any proof that Sarah was cheating, why did you tell our entire family that she was? The color drained completely from her face. What do you mean? I had proof, I just accidentally lost it. You had screenshots that you conveniently deleted of messages between Sarah and some hospital administrator I've never heard of about an affair. You have no other evidence for whatsoever. Derek, where are you going with this? I pulled out my phone and opened the voice recording app. I'm going to ask you one direct question, and I want you to tell me the complete truth. Did Sarah actually have an affair, or did you make that story up to try to get money from me? Brittany's eyes darted around the room like she was looking for an escape route. Why are you recording this conversation? Just answer the question honestly. Look, Derek, even if the affair thing wasn't exactly accurate, Sarah wasn't a perfect person. She was always rude to me, always trying to turn you against your own family. Maybe she deserved to have her reputation questioned a little bit. So you admit you made the whole thing up? I didn't make anything up. I just interpreted some situations differently than you might have. What situations? What exactly did you interpret? She was completely backed into a corner and she knew it. Fine, maybe there wasn't actually an affair. But that doesn't change the fact that you have all this money now and I'm struggling to survive. Family should help family. There it is, I said, stopping the recording. You slandered my dead wife to try to guilt me into giving you money. Derek, please. You don't understand how desperate my situation is. I'm about to lose my apartment, my car, everything. I just need help. You need help? Let me help you understand something important. I pulled out another folder I'd prepared earlier, this one containing all the evidence I'd compiled of her various scams and fraudulent activities over the years. This is a comprehensive record of every lie you've told, every person you've stolen from, every scam you've attempted to run, including your recent attempts to access my bank accounts and call Sarah's insurance company pretending to be family. Her face went completely white. How did you— I work in finance, Brittany. I know how to track financial records and digital footprints. Did you really think you could call my bank from your own phone number and they wouldn't keep a record of it? I can explain that. Explain what? How you've been researching my finances for months? How you made up a story about Sarah cheating to justify stealing from me? How you've been planning this entire scam since the day she died? Brittany started crying, not the manipulative tears she usually used to get out of trouble, but genuine panic tears. Please, Derek, I'm sorry. I was desperate and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. You didn't mean to hurt anyone. You tried to destroy the memory of my dead wife for money. I'll make it right. I promise. I'll tell everyone I was wrong about Sarah. I'll apologize to the whole family. Oh, you're going to do much more than that. Here's exactly what's going to happen, I told Brittany as she sat crying in Sarah's office chair. You're going to face real consequences for your actions. Serious, life-changing consequences. What do you mean? She asked through her tears. I pulled out copies of everything I'd compiled. Bank records showing her fraudulent unemployment claims, evidence of her stealing from family members, screenshots of her various online scams, and documentation of her attempts to access my financial accounts illegally. First, I'm sending all of this information to the state unemployment office. You've been collecting benefits while working cash jobs for over a year. That's fraud, and they take it very seriously. Derek, no, please don't. Second, I'm filing police reports for identity theft and attempted fraud based on your calls to my bank and Sarah's insurance company. I never actually stole your identity. You impersonated me to try to access my financial information. That's a felony offense. Brittany was hyperventilating at this point. You can't do this to me. I'm your sister. Sister? My sister wouldn't have tried to destroy my dead wife's reputation for money. I continued laying out her punishment systematically. Third, I'm sending evidence of your theft from Mom and our aunt to them, along with documentation of everything you've stolen over the years. They'll never believe you over me. Really? Because I have security camera footage from Mom's apartment building showing you going through her purse during our Christmas visit, and our aunt has been wondering about her missing jewelry for months. The reality of her situation was finally sinking in completely. What do you want from me? I want you to understand that actions have consequences. For too long, our family has been enabling your behavior, making excuses for you, bailing you out every time you mess up. That ends today. But I'll go to jail. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to commit multiple felonies.
Brittany literally got down on her knees begging.
Please, Derek, I'll do anything you want. I'll pay you back somehow. I'll never ask for money again. I'll leave town. Whatever you want me to do. It's too late for bargaining now. No, it's not. Please, I have nowhere else to go. Mom can't afford to help me anymore. I don't have any real friends, no boyfriend. If you do this, I'll have absolutely nothing. You already have nothing. You just didn't realize it yet.
I started walking toward the door.
Oh, and Brittany, that financial portfolio I showed you? Completely fake. I'm not worth anywhere near $3 million. Her face went from desperation to pure rage. You lying piece of garbage. You set me up. Yeah, I did. And you fell for it because you're a greedy, stupid person who thought you could steal from your grieving brother. I'll tell everyone what you did. I'll tell them you made up those financial documents. Go ahead, tell them I tricked you into admitting you made up a story about Sarah cheating. Tell them I caught you trying to steal from me. See how much sympathy you get. I left her crying in Sarah's office and went downstairs to wait for the police to arrive. I'd called them before she came over that morning, telling them I had evidence of someone attempting to commit fraud against me. 20 minutes later, 2 officers showed up at my door. I gave them copies of everything, the bank records, the unemployment fraud evidence, recordings of Brittany's confession, documentation of her attempts to access my financial accounts illegally. This is pretty comprehensive evidence, one of the officers said after reviewing everything. How long has this fraudulent activity been going on? Years for the small stuff, but the financial crime started right after my wife died. They went upstairs and found Brittany still sitting in Sarah's office, staring at the wall like she was in complete shock. "Ma'am, we need to ask you some questions about attempted fraud and identity theft." Watching them escort her out of my house in handcuffs was the most satisfying moment I'd experienced since Sarah died.
I wasn't finished destroying her life yet.
Over the next week, I systematically dismantled what remained of Brittany's existence. The unemployment fraud investigation moved incredibly fast. They suspended her benefits immediately and started proceedings to recover the money she'd fraudulently collected over the past year. The state doesn't mess around with benefit fraud. I sent comprehensive evidence of her various thefts to every family member she'd victimized. Mom was devastated, but finally admitted she'd been enabling Brittany's behavior for decades. Our aunt decided to press charges for the stolen jewelry. I also contacted every guy Brittany had scammed over the years, and there were quite a few of them. I found their contact information through her social media accounts and sent them detailed evidence of her lies and manipulations. Several of them decided to pursue legal action for fraud. The best part? I created a public Facebook page dedicated to exposing scammers in our area. I posted her name, photo, and complete criminal history, all easily searchable on Google. Good luck finding new victims when a simple internet search shows exactly what kind of person you really are. Within 2 weeks, Brittany was facing multiple criminal charges, had no income source, no boyfriend, and was about to be evicted from her apartment. She started calling me constantly, begging for help. "Please, Derek, I'm sorry about everything. I'll never do anything like this again. I just need a place to stay until I figure out my next move." Figure out what? How to be a decent human being? That opportunity sailed a long time ago. I'm your sister. No, you're a criminal who tried to steal from me while I was grieving my wife. We're not family anymore. The phone calls got increasingly desperate as her situation deteriorated. When she was finally evicted from her apartment, she started showing up at my house, camping out on my doorstep, crying and begging for help. "I have nowhere else to go, Derek. I'll freeze out here." Should have thought about that before you tried to destroy Sarah's memory for money. I was wrong. I admitted I was wrong. What more do you want from me? I want you to face the consequences of your actions without trying to manipulate your way out of them. Eventually, Mom took her in temporarily, but even that didn't last long. Brittany tried to steal money from Mom's Social Security check to buy drugs she'd started using to cope with her situation, and Mom finally kicked her out permanently. Last I heard, she was living in her car in a shopping center parking lot, facing multiple court dates and working at a gas station for minimum wage. Her mugshot from the unemployment fraud arrest appeared in the local newspaper crime section. The ironic thing is, if she had just asked for help like a normal person, instead of trying to scam me, I probably would have given her some money. Not $120,000, but enough to help her get back on her feet temporarily. I'm not completely heartless, but she chose to attack Sarah's memory, and that was absolutely unforgivable. 6 months later, I received a letter from her in county jail. She'd been sentenced to 16 months for the unemployment fraud. It was 5 pages of apologies, promises to change her life, and desperate pleas for me to help with her legal expenses. I fed it through my paper shredder without reading past the first paragraph.